Oh, and a tip behind him. That's going to be a spin from Goodell. Maybe no, he catches it. How in the world did he catch that?
I have no idea, and I'm not sure Ryan Goodell did either, but he comes back onto the track. A little bit of a check up there around him. That was incredible.
And taking advantage of that, Clayton Ham. Let's take another look at this replay. The 14, all sorts of sideways, and it starts to look like the car wants to go again. That's why he went on the apron. I thought maybe he just was slow and was trying to get out of the way, but he had to save it twice. We are indeed Brunschweiler to the inside of the pair of them. That might not necessarily be the best line unless he can get it woed up in time. He's the bravest on the brakes, and he is going to get it. Wow, the 4 moves up to 5th in a 2-1 move. Side by side between Burns and Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt has the inside, but not a nose ahead at first under braking. It starts to go back ahead. They're going to go wheel to wheel through here, giving each other space. Now it's a drag race, DJ, on who gets to the line first.
And it's going to be a shorter line there for David Burns, but it's not giving any room by Johan Vanderbilt. They're going to dive down into the corner. Little bit of bumping and banging, but who's it going to be? I think it's Burns by 22 thousandths of a second.
Meanwhile, up towards the front for TCRs, this has now swapped. Waring has swapped with Hardman. That took place last time by down the front stretch. Now looking to swap back. Look at this. Ascend to the inside. Hardman runs along the curb in the hairpin and just about completes the pass and does. Battle for second now up as Wager tries to send his way in for Britannia Ice Sports.
Wow, this is a three-way battle for that first position. All these guys are fighting for the lead. This is
three wide.
Really nice 3 wide going into Cunningham around to Collier. I can't tell who's going to make it out of this in front of this whole pack, but it looks like it's going to still be Hardman. Andrew Hardman doing a beautiful job to hold on to the lead there.
He's been slowly working his way up through the field. I wouldn't have expected it there. Brown maybe thinking about a 2-for-1.
Wow, great heads up by Johnson, who sees him coming and gives him space, and great braking by Travis Brown. I didn't think there was any way that he managed to get side by side.
Nor did I, but he runs wide there, and that's going to open up the door back for Jeffrey Shulam.
Wheel to wheel, fighting for the 9th position, and it looks like Shulam might have it. Travis Brown cutting back underneath. He's going to fight back on Jeffrey, who's had his hands full for just about the last 5 laps in its entirety, and unfortunately, once again, he is snookered around the outside of Sayat. Last season, the little Formula V open wheelers put on some great racing and wonderfully mimicked the stepping stone of Formula Ford over in the UK. This time around, our drivers will have a go at another great tradition in British motorsport: touring cars. Who will be able to transition to these front-wheel drive beasts? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round one of the RTA Virtual Motorsport British Touring Car Championship. And you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is SRO driver Michael Johnson. Behind the scenes is our director, Zach Johnson, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Donington Park has seen its fair share of touring car action. Let's head to our track guide to learn more about it. Welcome to Donington Park. This British track can boast the rare feat of hosting Grand Prix racing since before the advent of the modern F1 Championship. About a half-hour northeast of Birmingham, cars and bikes of many types have competed here. There are two layouts that can be driven: the Grand Prix version, which is roughly 2.5 miles, or the National Circuit, which is just under 2 miles. The only difference between them is the addition of the Melbourne and Goddard's hairpins at the end of the lap. This circuit is known for its fast, sweeping bends and difficulty in overtaking. There's also some extremely tricky blind apexes like at McLean's and Coppice. Ironically, one of the most famous and more difficult high-speed turns is called the Old Hairpin. Resembling nothing of its name, it includes a frustrating kinked entry and a very critical corner exit that leads to a long piece of uphill acceleration. The first turn of Redgate is a popular place for overtakes, but it carries an unusual danger. The pit exit empties right into the racing line, and if stops are expected during the race, it can prompt some treacherous exchanges. While the circuit is most well known for its extremely wet 1993 European Grand Prix, where Ayrton Senna blitzed the field for a win, currently the track is mainly used for lower-level open-wheelers and touring car racing. Overwhelmingly popular with British fans, Donington Park has established itself as a pivotal circuit in the UK racing scene. Well, Michael, one thing that makes me happy about what they've done with these touring cars is they're racing on the version of the circuit that they traditionally do so.
Yes, they are. I love this version of the circuit. It's the 10-turn version. It's without the finger or the appendix. Everybody has a different name for it. That comes right out of Roberts there. So a couple of things we're going to be watching out for on this 2-mile track. Just a touch under 2 miles, just a touch over 3.1 kilometers. When these cars come through Redgate, they're really searching for that grip, and you might see somebody try to make a very hair-raising pass going down into the Old Hairpin, but then they're coming up the bridge, and McLean's is the next spot you're going to see attempts at passes because everything has to slow down a lot to get in there. Now, when we go up through Coppice, it is a blind double apex right-hander, and when you're heading down the straight there up to Roberts, the cool thing is you've got traction on both sides because somebody's recently been using the appendage out there, has been going out the finger. They're braking on the right side of the track. In this version of the track, we're on the left side, but there's still rubber down over there. So passing opportunities are there for the brave. You got to remember, it's a little bit downhill. It's going to make it tighter, but getting through there could be the moment of the race for somebody.
Absolutely, and it's not just one race that we've got on tap today, it's multiple heats for it as we take a look at the race details. And there you can see 3 different ones and each at different lengths. Now, as opposed to what we saw in the Formula Vs, yes, they are setting the grid by the previous races, but in the feature, the 20-minute race, the top 8 are going to be reversed. So those who won, the driver who won on race 2 will start from 8th position on the grid in race 3. Even still, good finishing order is probably going to be essential all the way from the first one out. And there you saw the penalties that will be handed out if they abuse the track limits, which can be easy to do, probably easier to do, Michael, in a forward wheel drive car. I'll have to get that out.
Yeah, front wheel drive car. We'll try that. Forward moving front wheel drive car. I think we're going to see a lot though at Old Hairpin. That's a great place to pick them up, and also coming out of McLean's. Seriously, that's a spot. It's blind. You get up in there, and or it's semi-blind when you're coming in there, and you're trying to get up to that Coppice corner. A lot of people overrun that, and you're going to see people picking up 1Xs just by kicking up just a tiny bit too much dust coming out of there.
Looks like Jordan Kelly just took the pole, though, at a 1:12.2. about a quarter of a second faster than Douglas currently, who had that lap deleted last time by. There were some close drivers in that practice. Oh, and Jason Smith gets pretty close to the pole as he goes within half a tenth of Jordan Kelly now. So the first 5 minutes are starting to see things just swap around quite a bit, and it looks like all 21 do at least have time downs, and now it's down to improvement, Michael.
Yeah, and the interesting thing here, this is open qualifying. This is not solo qualifying. They have a qualifying period while they're out here with everyone on track. So if you've got a drafting buddy, let's hope you're both running about the same pace and they can help you out a little bit and you're just closing up on them through the whole lap. But you also have to be aware that not everybody's your friend. So somebody might accidentally, in air quotes, spin on a corner to mess up a lap for you. So you have to be careful. You have to place yourself. You have to watch what's going on. Anyone who's watched me race knows that when I go out there to an open qualifying like this, I find myself in a gap. I'm right up on somebody. I make sure I got about 30 seconds behind me, and then I slow down and I sit there. I take a deep breath. I look ahead as we watch Jordan Kelly coming across once again, putting in a beautiful time, 1:12.077. But you get that gap, you look ahead, take a deep breath, and you wait for that car to come up. When they're about 5 seconds off of you, you take off and you stay ahead of them, but then you're going to get a beautiful lap, nobody in your way. That's my preference. Some people want to go out there with that drafting partner. I can see how that would help, but it's kind of giving you an unrealistic version of what's going to happen in the race.
That's a good point. And looks like Doherty has managed to get onto the front row. Smith just overtaken by him. And it's now 0.026 of a second up to Jordan Kelly, who, as you mentioned, did go a little bit faster. Oh, and Simon Wall now is up into third. So the top three are split by actually less than a half a tenth of a second. It is extremely tight around here. It is a relatively quick lap at just over 1:12 for our quickest drivers, but I'm kind of shocked to see how tight they've managed to bind these times together. As whoop, that was definitely an off track right there. And
Looks like
Jason
Wayne
Smith,
Douglas snuck in there too. Look at that. Wayne Douglas
Ooh, wow.
Getting a little bit closer. It's getting tight.
Kelly improved once again, so it's now 800ths between Kelly to Doherty, about a tenth down to Wall in fourth. I wonder if that track position is going to be pretty important, though. One thing this course is kind of known for, there's not a lot of heavy braking zones around here.
Not much you need to do on that left pedal, especially with these cars. They have such an amazing amount of traction. If you ever get the opportunity to drive one of these, sell whatever you have to do it. This is probably the most fun you can have in motorsports. And I have driven everything from prototypes all the way down to grocery getters. I love these cars. They are such a blast to drive. They have so much grip. They have so much ability. There's power coming off the corner. There's a little bit of engine braking. Let's watch on board as Jason Smith, trying to get out of that sixth position, gets down deep into the brakes, pops up over the curbing a little bit. Same thing on the left side, back to power. He was probably on power midway between those two pieces of curbing. I couldn't quite hear it, but flies across there, trying to improve his time, but unfortunately does not. But really close to his previous time, which is important to see how consistent he's going to be through this race.
Yeah, we've got 21 of them out there trying to race today. 5 minutes left to go, so still plenty of time to set laps, and I'm still seeing constant movement on the timing tower here as drivers find just that little bit more speed out on track and down along the main straight. This is Evan Walsh that you see being chased by Murphy. Murphy doesn't improve and Walsh doesn't go quicker either, although he gets within a few hundredths of his fastest lap. Top five currently separated by less than 0.2 of a second up there. They're going to plunge down through Hollywood and into the Craner curves as we see them head into the old hairpin. One of the weirdest corner names I think I've seen in racing, because I looked back at the track map. At no time was it ever in the shape of an actual hairpin.
Yeah, never actually in the shape of a hairpin, but I think because it's still off camber a little bit, it makes you feel like you wish it were a hairpin, maybe. But no, it was never a hairpin. never looked like a hairpin. But I can tell you, driving a 7.5-ton truck loaded with audio gear through there is quite hair-raising.
Yeah, I can imagine, and I'm sure there's a story behind there that I'll have to ask you about later. But as we now come down Starkey straight, Walsh still giving a bit of a tow to Murphy. Now, Andrew's down in 18th, so he's got a lot of ground to make up. Walsh, as I mentioned, sits in 5th. Let's see what this lap holds as Walsh comes to the line first, 12.5. So that's slower for him. Murphy, 13.9, definitely slower than his previous best. And he's had a lot of off tracks during his attempts. Down to 4 minutes now. Jordan Kelly going to be our next one to cross the line as he heads through Roberts with those huge sausage curbs. And that's the other thing I love about seeing these TCR cars race, Michael, is front wheel drive cars can just pound curbs.
Yeah, the universal joint doesn't like it much, but if you think about a front wheel drive car from the 70s or 80s, those CV joints would just die. But this is something that I love about racing. We pound the ever-living you-know-what out of these curbs, and that kind of performance technology, the way they make those, gets into the street cars. So when we're out there watching these cars, or you're watching these cars just fly over these curbs, hit them with absolutely no mercy, that's got to be tough on those CV joints. But the CV joints have been so much improved over decades now that you can actually get away with that for a long race. I've seen these cars race through 24 hours and just absolutely pummel corners on every single lap.
Yeah, I remember seeing talks from Bobby Rahal about how when he ran endurance racing, he was always told to stay off the curbs and preserve the car for those very reasons. And it's wild to see just how much that endurance field has changed. So we come up through Coppice now. More of our drivers, someone going a little bit wide there. That's Hollywood, who is going to actually get out of the way and allow Ronan Doherty to now go through. Doherty sits in 3rd, but he's still a mere 800ths away from Jordan Kelly and about 100th off of Wayne Douglas. Let's see if he's found just that tiny micro piece of time to try and get onto the front row. Nope, he has not.
It seems like the track might be slowing down. I was watching David Yamamoto in my side monitor here for a little bit, who was on a flyer. He was looking like he could have been right up there in that 12.0 range, and then all of a sudden it kind of fell off and he wasn't in traffic. So I think the track may be evolving a little bit into a slower version of the track right now. So right now, if we're looking at it, it's 89 degrees Fahrenheit, 32 degrees Celsius on the track, 31. Oh, it's cooling off. Now it's cooling off. And a 65 degree Fahrenheit, 18 degrees Celsius air temperature. This is kind of perfect. It's a little bit warm on the track. Humidity is up there around 62%, a little higher than we'd expect, with 19 kilometer per hour, 12 mile per hour winds out of the southwest. So we're going to see, I think with this track cooling off, I think lap times are going to start coming down. It was kind of odd to see everybody kind of creeping up there for a little bit, though.
Yeah, and so far, all 22 drivers with a time, as we've had a couple more join us since this qualifying even started. Ben McClory, the most recent, but he's a little off the pace right now, might be trying to get his sea legs underneath him. And Doherty, well, he's going to park it as he pulls off to the paved runoff, and Hollywood does likewise, who was just the one that just went by him in that 88 machine. In the meantime, up to Coppice once again here. Wayne Douglas, those 7/100ths off of Jordan Kelly. I'm looking at his lap time, and it doesn't look like he's quicker right now. The UKNI driver just needs to find that little bit more, and he's going to get one more shot, Michael, as I think if he chooses to carry on, he can try and cycle around.
Yeah, it's interesting. These cars are not heavily affected by fuel weight. A lot of times you'll see people get down and set up their car for an out lap +2, and that's all they're going to run. In these cars, you can actually put enough fuel to do 4 or 5 laps, and it's really not going to be that much of a hindrance to the car. But let's watch as he comes through here. We may be out of session. Yeah, we're out of session time.
Yep, and apologies, I forgot that they switch over immediately. So let's go through your starting order here today. Jordan Kelly is on the pole with Wayne Douglas in second. Ronan Doherty, P3, is followed by Simon Wall. Evan Walsh will be fifth, and Jason Smith, P6, followed by Peter McCann. To his outside, it's David Yamamoto, Brian McCarthy on the inside of row 5, and Scott Malcolm rounding out your top 10.
And DeFaro will be leading up row number 6 with Michael McGinnis right next. Ian Malone and Jonathan Hollywood, who we were just watching, Hollywood in 14th. Niall Doherty, Tony Stack, Robert Parks, Dave Collier, Andrew Murphy, and Emma Dempsey round out our top 20 with looks like McMullen and Ben McClory in our last row, row 11.
22 looking to take the start here real quick before the last of them grid up. We want to mention our sponsor, the Majors Garage, home of free Baseline Plus setups. Get help from any of the garage coaches 24/7. Sign up now for awesome, affordable monthly subscriptions, telemetry, coaching, and more by simply clicking on our link in the description below. Also, if you use our special discount code, MajorsGSRC, you'll get 10% off. So we just have about 3 or 4 that need to grid up. And again, this is the first of 3 heats that will be running today. 15 minutes for this first one, looking at around 13 to 14 laps that the drivers will be able to complete. And front 2 rows are already ready to go. Just need Walsh, McCann, and Hollywood to put themselves on the grid. And they get about 2 minutes to get themselves out there with their setups ready. And it does appear that they are now. As the lights come up, the engines start to rev, and the green flag is out off the line. It's very good for Kelly, but Douglas is struggling a bit. He tries to cover off Wall, who has to switch to the outside as well behind them. It looks like Doherty had a miserable start and into Redgate. Wayne Douglas going to be able to keep second behind them. They all start to file in.
The Audi has a certain advantage off the line. There's a trick, and I'm not going to let it out there because I use it every time I race the Audi, but there's a trick, and I think Jordan Kelly actually knows that trick too. Just beautiful launch off the line, absolutely pulling away. This short into the race, already about a quarter second gap, and that looks like it could open up. This is an interesting mixture though. We've got primarily Audis and Hyundais. We have 2 model Hyundais out here as we watch them coming through. Just, wow, that's a lot of dirt, but still holding on to his time as they come up through. I believe this is Coppice they're coming into now, trying to make that double right-hand corner, and that Audi is just streaking away.
Ooh, McCarthy and Stack just had contact coming through Coppice. You can see Stack has to try and get back to the track. McCarthy is slow. Oh, and McCarthy just made more contact, and unfortunately, that is going to be with Ian Malone and someone else, and oh no, it is a massive shunt here into the Robert chicane for the first time. The back half of the field has been decimated by this.
Oh, that's just, that breaks my heart to see that. There's just cars everywhere, and this looks like everyone's just trying to get back going, but not really watching what's going on around them. As we see several cars dive into the pits here, looks like a good time to get some repairs.
Yeah, they do have a spare car waiting for them, thankfully, so they'll be able to get back out on the track, but that has put the race in the hands of many of the drivers within the top 10, which still have quite a line. There you see Kelly, but look at this. Douglas is barely ahead of Doherty. Oh, and way off is that Malcolm. That is Scott Malcolm, who goes all the way into the barriers, and that is one less amongst that top group.
Yeah, that was, there seemed to be a little, let's just call it less than thoughtful racing going on there. Got a little bit deep on the inside of that corner. Looks like he got tagged and then sent out to the wall. That was unfortunate.
And I was about to say, it's Doherty leading quite a train here. It's Jason Smith behind him, Simon Wall, Evan Walsh, and then Peter McCann. It looks like they may have lost Yamamoto and Farrell, who were much closer. Maybe they were involved a little bit in that action that sent Malcolm off the circuit. And now they're going to have to deal with some lap traffic as drivers return to the circuit. Farrell being split by Murphy between himself and Yamamoto, and down the hill towards the old hairpin. That's Walsh trying to attack on Smith.
And that looks like one of the few Hondas we have. I think we have only 2 Hondas in the field today. The rest of the field is covered by Hyundai and Audi. But these Hondas have an interesting dynamic to them. They're very good on braking and just adequate at everything else, where let's say the Audi has some good top end, has great legs to it. The braking on the Hyundai is excellent, and the pull off a corner. The Honda kind of fits in the middle. It's a decent car to drive just anywhere. It's going to be reasonably good at every track. So I think it's a good choice for some people, just if they're going to stick with a car for the whole season. As we watch, this is an interesting little look up the inside. Can he hold on to it? Going in through that final chicane, nicely done. But you see how that Hyundai was just able to pull away. It's got a little bit better off the corner power.
That time across, looks like Ronan Doherty from third is able to take the fast slap. Doesn't mean a whole lot except for an ego boost, and other than you're fast right now as they come out of Red Gate, and Smith leads Wall and McCann here in the battle for 4th place, coming down into the old hairpin. And yeah, I have allegiances amongst people close to me all around the board here, because one of my dear friends owns a Veloster and she loves it to death, whereas my dad has not raced, but driven multiple Civics over the course of my lifetime. So he is in love with that one.
I remember one of the early race cars that I tried to put together was a Civic, and that was a 70s era Civic.
Oh.
So it would probably fit inside one of these, if you remember how small those were.
Very different looking car from how it is now. As we come down towards Roberts, this is a great run from McCann. Wall's going to defend, and looks like he's back to the racing line, so he feels safe enough. If nobody gets a good run off of here, we might have a replay. No, we might have a pass from McCann. He's got a great exit off that final chicane, and he's looking either side, eventually decides to get back in line. Let's take a glance at that opening wreck down into Roberts. I believe this started with the 21 machine of Brian McCarthy trying to pick speed back up, and I don't know who that was that ran into him, but it was just like he didn't know he was there.
It looked like maybe even a failure in the steering wheel function. So sometimes your wheel can get a little messed up. It can freak out. I've seen people lose feedback. That was just really odd, and everyone at that point was just along for the ride. There was very little anybody could do to minimize that. I think that's about as minimal as that could have possibly been.
Yeah, you saw Doherty there, who unfortunately got really caught up in it. And it was the 888 of McGuinness who was the one that just kind of seemed to be a bit blind for a moment. There is Doherty out there continuing on. He sits in 16th place, but back to the battle for 4th. Well, maybe it's the battle for 5th now, because that is Smith, who is pulled roughly a second ahead of Walsh. So what was a 4-car fight might become 3.
Yeah, in this little battle here, we had Jason Smith, Wayne Douglas, and Jordan Kelly all pull fastest laps, and that was the opposite order right behind each other. And Ronan Doherty just pulled a fast lap with a 1:12.2. So things are really starting to heat up through the top half of this field. Everybody wants a piece of that fast lap action, I think.
Yeah, it seems like they're getting quicker and quicker as this race goes on. But they've only got 8 more minutes now. They're just about to the halfway point. Look at how wide Wayne Douglas is able to take it, but Ronan has it down to 0.7 of a second. He is clawing forward, and if Wayne's not careful, the 29's got a good shot at trying to steal 2nd place from him.
Yeah, if we watch as they come down this little downhill braking zone here into that final chicane, trying to get under the brakes, the Hyundai really good in brakes. Can they make that pull off the corner here to catch up just a little bit? Doesn't look like he's going to make up any ground on that Audi. The Audi had legs running down that. So I think it's kind of a tough call from that far back. He really wants to get up there, but the opportunities just are not presenting themselves for him right now.
Certainly not. But behind them, there's opportunities for McCann because he's still hounding Simon Wall at every corner possible. We've been getting a lot of cloud cover here in the recent laps of this race. Wonder if that's cooling it down and what's causing that little extra grip that we're seeing for the drivers. Down to 30 Celsius, so a little bit cooler than what we saw in the qualifying session. And as they come up towards McLean's, Wall not even shaking off the racing line, but McCann also not showing his nose.
Yeah, another thing to remember, though, with these cars, they get faster the deeper into the race you get. Any race that's under about 40 minutes, they're just getting faster and faster and faster all the way through. The tires kind of get stickier. It's like as you get deeper into it, which seems backwards. It is backwards. But remember, this is being driven from the wrong end of the car. It's pulling instead of pushing all the way around this track.
Right now, it's Wall that's pulling along McCann. And an interesting, looks like Mercedes-inspired livery. One of the makes that is not represented here. And Wall's actually driving an Audi right now, if anything. So different German mark on that car. And out of Redgate, he gets a much better exit from the previous laps. McCann before was almost pushing him down the hill. This time, he's got about a car length between them.
Yeah, I think he's able to open up. The Audi, again, just has the legs. And if you can get off the corner and get to the point where you're up over about 100 miles per hour, 160 kilometers per hour, that Audi can start to open it up. But you have to have a point where it's able to stretch the legs. So it's tough on this track. Not a lot of opportunity, as looks like we're having that Honda having a little bit of trouble getting out of McLean there, coming up through Coppice. We could see something happening here, missing that second apex. This Audi coming in close, getting up, trying to get up onto the inside. Doesn't look like too much of a defense. Are we going to see it under braking? Nope, tucks right back in. And now the battle starts all over again.
And as that battle started, so did the one for second. Wayne Douglas and Ronan Doherty are now within 0.2 of each other down into the first corner. Doherty's caught him. Now, though, he's got to pass him.
Yeah, got to get around him. It has to happen soon. We've got under 5 minutes left in this race. And with the lap time at just over a minute, it's going to take a while because these cars like to repass. If you find yourself offline making a pass and trying to get through a corner, the person you just passed has a decent opportunity to get back around you, especially in these front-wheel drive TCRs.
Oh, speaking of which, looks like Wall finally got side by side with Walsh up into McLean's behind them. And there you see them coming around the right-hander over the crest, but not enough speed for Wall. He's going to give another look into Coppice, and then he's back into line again.
Yeah, trying to get up here. If he gets a good run, he's got a much better angle of attack coming through the second part of Coppice. He is closer this time. I think we're going to see a little bit of a defense. Gets the nose out, pokes it out there, but I think he's losing some speed. The draft is really helping him. But look how much curbing he's taking on both of those big, giant curbs. Just bounces the car right across, trying to keep close, get in there closer, and try to make this pass.
And credit to Walsh ahead of the two of them. He's been cool under pressure in this situation. Hasn't been able to keep up with Smith ever since he got that distance, still at about 1.1 seconds ahead of them. Doesn't look like he's pulling away much more. Granted, that could still change in these last couple laps, but they're keeping pace. Even Evan Walsh is making sure he doesn't make any mistakes that will open it up enough for the 12 to try and sneak by. And if he can just do that for maybe 3 more laps here, then he's got himself a top 5 as they slide it into McLean's this time.
Yeah, sliding is really part of the game with these cars. And interestingly, it's funny, watching the Audi come off that corner. He is coming through there beautifully and actually has to cut over to the inside a little bit. And then that Honda just pulls away. Now, we come up here once again. He's not putting his nose out this time. I thought he might try it, just not getting close enough. There's something with the way he's coming up over the crest at Coppice that's not letting him get close enough. I think we're on board with McCann here. Yeah, I believe this is McCann trying to just hold on. If I were McCann, I'd be waiting for Wall and Walsh to make a mistake. That's going to be the easiest way to get through this, because watching this lap after lap after lap, the gap really doesn't change. It goes up, it goes back, but it doesn't go out much from where it is right now.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I think McCann's sitting in a good spot if he can just get them to try and fight each other a little bit, and that'll be his best opportunity as we ride on board with Wall, who's going to show himself in the mirrors of Walsh through McLean's. But wow, off to the outside, a little bit too much dirt for Evan. Simon's got a shot, and he still doesn't take it.
Yeah, he could get it here, though. He's got a much better run as we come up around through Coppice. He is closer this time. There's only about a car and a quarter between them. This might be a good point to consider defense, but nope, doesn't need it. Looks like the Honda is actually doing better since the update. They've given it maybe a little more power, a little bit less weight.
And down towards Redgate, they approach as Kelly already comes out of it. He's got 2 laps to go. We're starting to see slightly more aggression, though, from Simon. He's trying to find something in it, and McCann, unfortunately, tries too hard himself as he goes off into the grass. He was so close behind and threw it all away.
Yeah, that was unfortunate. It's hard to see your braking point, especially with 2 cars battling in front of you. And when they go a little bit wider, it even throws you off a little bit more. So it's hard to find those points, those turn-in points, those brake points, those lift, return to throttle points. It's just a challenge when you've got a big, giant wing on the back of a TCR car up in front of you. You get up the inside. Oh, this is a good attempt at a pass. Is he going to make it? He makes it through.
Typical touring car style. He gets his elbows out, and Ronan Doherty is finally into second with the lap to go. They're going to see the white flag this time by. Does Douglas return the favor? He gets very close to that rear bumper, but he does not give him the chrome horn yet.
Yeah, this is Elantra on Elantra. We have the Elantra and the Veloster out here. The cars are very similar. Every time I've driven them here in iRacing, I find them to be almost identical in the lap times they can turn, and just attribute it to I'm a hundredth or so different in my attack on a corner. So I think these cars are about the same, but looks like Doherty is really trying to open this up. Right now, Doherty has a pretty decent gap of just over half a second, trying to hold that out. It was much closer earlier, and we are on the final lap. So if he's going to make it happen, he needs to get back around him about now.
Yeah, it doesn't look like he's got the pace, and he is really overdriving this car. I don't know how many incident points he has left, but he's been abusing them on this last lap. I don't see any black flags on the tower currently. And out of the final turn, he's going to try and weave and break the slipstream. Doherty now back to the racing line. And it looks like as we head over to Jordan Kelly, he is going to have an easy lights to flag victory, running away from everybody in the first heat of the night. After that, Doherty did hold off Douglas for the second. Douglas wound up third, and then Smith into a lonely fourth place. Evan Walsh does get his top 5.
Yeah, nice little battle back there, 4, 5, 6, 7. That all the way back to McCann. Beautifully done from those guys. McCann falling off on that last lap, got a little bit too much where we saw. Just got out a little bit too far into the dirt, couldn't see where his braking points were. But nice race, actually all through the field. Everyone did beautifully. It was a great race to watch, and I'm looking forward to the next heat.
I am as well. The last of them are getting across the line. It's going to be Niall Doherty, who will be the last to finish on the lead lap. And that will be 16th. So Hollywood, Murphy, Malcolm, Malone, McClory, McGinnis, all wound up not completing all 13 of them. And there is Niall Doherty in the number 6, crosses the line and wraps up that first race. That'll take us off into the second heat, and it's going to be an even shorter one, 10 minutes. So here's your starting order for this race. Jordan Kelly, as we mentioned, starting from the pole, Wayne Douglas in third. Ronan Doherty in second, Wayne Douglas in third, Jason Smith P4, followed by Evan Walsh in the 5th position. It's Simon Wall P6 and Peter McCann in 7th. Yamamoto, didn't get to see him much on that last one, but he did manage 8th, and DeFaro will be 9th, and Rob Parks rounds out your top 10.
Emma Dempsey's going to bring it in P11 alongside Tony Stack in P12. Damian McMullen, Dave Collier, Brian McCarthy, Niall Doherty, Jonathan Hollywood, Andrew Murphy, Scott Malcolm, and Ian Malone bring out your top 20 with, I believe we're going to have Ben McClory and Michael McGuinness on once again, 21st and 22nd.
Good timing because the engines are already revving. The lights come up here for heat number 2 of round 1, and the green flag is out. Does Kelly get another good start? Yes, he does. Ronan Doherty is absolutely nowhere. Wayne Douglas is going to overtake him once again. In fact, he might lose another one because to his inside, there goes Evan Walsh trying to see if he can sneak into the top 3, and he is.
Wow, a little bit of getting those elbows out there. This is what we're used to seeing in BTCC, that there is going to be some rubbing. If you watch real life, real world racing, like physical cars and not sims, if anybody comes back with a mirror, they've done something wrong. You have to knock off both of those mirrors before the end of the race, or your team manager is going to be mad at you.
Wow, Ronan Doherty's just not getting a good start to this race. He's all the way down to 5th, but he might get one back because off to the outside. That was Evan Walsh flying off of McLean's. He loses multiple positions, and he'll be able to slot back in, but he gets a big hit, holds the car together, keeps that foot in it as into Farrell, and he hits side to side.
Yeah, good presence back there, though, as we watch the one that one car getting out too wide and starting to get into a slide. You watch the 3 cars behind there just kind of make a little bit of a juke to get away from it. Now they're coming back to finish their first lap, coming across the start-finish line. A little bit of light flash. I'm not sure what that was for. Hey, slow down for me, or hey, what did you do that for? I'm not sure what that was.
And looks like everybody did manage to make it through on this one. Michael McGuinness has some sort of black flag, it appears, as he's going to have to serve for a cut course penalty. Meanwhile, another change of position into Farrell. Doing a great job, up 3 spots from where she started this thing. And Simon Wall was just put into 7th, but that might switch back around. No, look at that. Here comes Tony Stack on him.
Yeah, Tony Stack making a good run here. It looks like we've got a slowdown penalty here. Oh, that is heartbreaking. Oh, that's one of the things that bugs me in iRacing is you get a slowdown penalty for something that may not have really been too big of a deal. But it's the rules you got to play by. It doesn't matter which league you're in. You have to play by their rules. I find like the passing rules that you see differences in, say, IMSA, or blocking rules, I should say, the differences in IMSA and SRO. One is you can zig, but you can't zag. The other is you can't move in response. So you always have to play by the rule of what's there. And if you get that corner cut, even if you were avoiding an incident, you just got to take it.
Speaking of, it looks like Evan Walsh also did another one through Roberts. He falls down. That wasn't even a factor, it felt like, in the first race. And now we've seen multiple ones in this event that have cost drivers many positions for the start of the last one. Now, let's not forget, they will reverse the grid for the feature. So the top 8 will be switched around as we get a little side-by-side behind these guys. Oh, and it's going to be Evan Walsh on the attack, but Emma Dempsey goes off course, and Rob Parks takes advantage of both of them.
Yeah, this race is definitely filled with a little more action. People are pushing it a bit harder. They want to be in a better position, I guess, for the next race. But when you're getting your starting order flipped, it's hard to say. Maybe somebody's looking to get into a position where they're just more comfortable for the next race. I'm not sure how to call that.
Well, the points are still scored for each race the same, so every single one counts here. You got to try and finish as high as you can. Yes, you're going to get sent down the order for the start of the next one, but they see opportunities. They're going to take them somebody else off track. That's Brian McCarthy once again. Remember, he was part of that huge wreck there in the first race coming to the end of the first lap, and he'll fall down to 17th. This is all still happening behind Jordan Kelly, who still leads as the 12 down into turn 1 is in front of the side-by-side racing between Dempsey and Neil Doherty.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of activity through here. I'm actually watching Tony Stack and Peter McCann. Peter McCann is less than a tenth off of him, trying to get around, going to the left, going to the right, looking every which way with that Irish flag on his roof. This is going to get interesting because we've got an Audi getting ready to come up into a long straightaway. If he can get up into Coppice, get his foot down, he could make something happen here in that Audi. But I don't know, Peter McCann, we've covered him before. He's an excellent driver, really knows what he's doing. I expect something could happen, but we've got a lot of side-by-side stuff happening all through the field. There's so much activity going on.
As we watch back here in and amongst from 12th down to about 20th, this is just a huge pack of cars. There's the fastest lap once again for Jordan Kelly, but they're starting to experience that accordion as the bellows close and multiple drivers made nose-to-tail contact that time. Another driver off pace, that is Scott Malcolm, who looks to have been given that furled black flag. He eventually gives the time back and he falls to 16th.
Yeah, getting that flag, that's tough. It happens, but it's part of racing. But we come back here, we're taking a look at this little grouping here. These guys have got an excellent race going. 4 cars, and maybe even that 5th car back there. This is an exciting bunch. Watch as they come up through McLean right here, trying to get up towards Coppice, get the power down. Man, this is tight racing through here. These 3, we've not got it down really to a tight pack of 3 with 2 others straggling behind, trying to get up and be part of this group. Although I think, is that, yeah, Peter McCann is the 2nd car there. Got a little bit of a defense. That's a defense from Farrell, or do I have it the other way around? That's going to be.
You got it right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's on Farrell. So Stack, McCann has gotten around Stack and looks like he's trying to make a move on Farrell. Farrell is kind of running a little slow as we get the pop out into turn 1. Oh, little bit of contact. Holds out. Oh, is he going to bring it back? Bring it back. Bring it back. Come on, get back on track. Nicely done. Wow, that was a tough one. I don't know what's going to happen with the stewards on that one. Looked fair to me, but we'll see what the stewards say on that one.
3 positions were lost by McCann in that. In fact, he has to check up for Yamamoto, who was in front of him. Farrell's going to get the spot right back after that checkup. So McCann has it all blow up in his face. In fact, there goes another one now, potentially. Walls on his outside, while just scraping into the top 10 now. That's 9th place for him, and McCann down to 10th.
Yeah, up front we see Kelly and Douglas still with about a half a second apart, but this is the real battle that I'm enjoying the most out of the field. I'm watching up and down. I see so much stuff going on, but this is actually the spot where we've got Walsh coming up on Stack right now. It's getting really tight with this group. These guys are really making an excellent race for us to watch. As we watch in the background behind them, we got an Audi off to the right side into the grass, but still holding on to position.
It was Scott Malcolm's into the wrong part of the track. That's down into the finger there, and he got tipped off actually by Brian McCarthy. So that was a very similar incident to before, except in this case, the 21 was on the giving end instead of the receiving end as we come down into the old hairpin side by side. More contact and into Farrell is way out into the kitty litter. Looks like McCann's going to get that spot back.
Yeah, I'm wondering if he's going to get a course cut for that, but I don't think so. It's bad enough. Let's not add insult to injury. Looks like he's going to lose at least 3 positions out of that. But with the way he was driving, I think he could probably catch back up. Now, that black Audi there, who is in that black? Is that Yamamoto?
Yes.
Yeah, Yamamoto making liberal use of the track surface, defining different areas and seeming to do it pretty well. Hasn't lost a lot of ground, holding on to McCann in front of him quite well in that Audi.
And we're now down to 2 laps to go. So we're towards the end of it. Incredibly, they have 15 incidents before they're given a drive-through here. I haven't seen any drivers be given the drive-through yet in this race. And I'm wondering if it's because it's only 10 minutes long. They are being, as you put it, so liberal with what they're allowed to get away with here. There's definitely been a few 4Xs, as somebody in the background there had a little bit of an off.
I think that was Yamamoto again. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's driving on the grass. Well, Audi does have a great history in rally. Not with this car, but they do have a great history in rally, and maybe Yamamoto's just trying to show that off a little bit.
Yeah, I think 4 different makes of Audis or different cars that you can drive that are made by Audi here in iRacing. This is one that does not have 4-wheel drive, so it's gonna at least drive well in the grass, but not perfectly. But look at this. Speaking of driving well and driving perfectly, so far Kelly's looked perfect, but Douglas has driven well, and he's run him down.
Douglas has been putting in some pretty hot laps. I think we got a best lap. The first one under that 112 mark. Woo! Getting that nose in there, trying to get back through. It's this is a true battle that's now happening. This is closed up over the last few laps, but Douglas has actually got a 111.911. I'd say 911, but that harkens to a different German car manufacturer. But this race for first is starting to really heat up now that we're on the final lap.
Does Porsche even have a front-wheel drive car other than maybe one of the SUVs?
No, even the SUVs are either all-wheel drive or rear-wheel drive.
Interesting. You just made me curious when you brought that up as we come down into the Coppice corner once again. It's a decent exit from Douglas, but it hasn't looked like Slipstream has meant a whole lot in these cars. I don't think this is going to be enough. Kelly's going to weave anyways just to play it safe and cover the inside. Back to the racing line now, hitting the brakes into the corner. Heat number 2, as long as he's good off the turn. Jordan Kelly takes another win here in the first round of the RTA Virtual Motorsports British Touring Car Championship. Douglas follows him home by 0.3 of a second back. Ronan Doherty somehow got back into third. We didn't even see that climb.
I missed that. I was looking for it after that earlier on incident. I thought, well, okay, let's see if he can work his way back through. But we had so much other stuff going back with McCann and Yamamoto and Wall and Walsh. That race was just so intense. It was taking all of our attention. And I think Doherty just managed to sneak through.
And you saw that 2x2 finish. That was Hollywood, Dempsey, Malone, and Farrell there across the line, all in a group. This time much better on those that finished on the lead lap. Ben McClory is going to be the final one, and he just crosses now. That means we've got a 5-minute warm-up before we get to the feature, so we can catch our breath now. And it's a good thing, Michael, because we've had 2 races that looked, I'd say, entirely different from one another. That was just Jekyll and Hyde between those two. So, I mean, what do you take with that?
I think they switched drivers. It had to be. There was nothing similar in the driving from one to the next. Everything just kind of switched in personality. Maybe it was the different duration of the race, went from 15 minutes to 10 minutes, and people just decided, okay, it's time to turn on Mr. Hyde and just go for it. I'm not sure. It just seemed odd. The personalities behind the wheel seemed to change through that.
It really did. Well, let's ask Jordan, because he was a bit more of a consistent factor, as Jordan Kelly now joins us. And Jordan, congratulations on the back-to-back wins. Second one looked a little bit harder. What for you changed between them that made it closer?
I think Wayne just got a better start in the second race, but apart from that start, there's nothing between me and Wayne. I was just trying to keep him out of the tow as much as possible, but Jesus, he's quick when he gets the tires up to temp. Well, it should be a good third race now coming through from P8, so we'll see how it goes.
Well, and it looks like your starts are really good. Michael here suggested that there's maybe a little trick in the Audis that help you off the line. You don't have to say what it is, but do you have special sauce there?
No, the Audis just have, they're just easier to launch. You just have to hold the brake, whereas the other cars, you have to slip the clutch more. Whereas the Audis, you can just lift the brake and send it on. So it's a wee bit of advantage with the Audi, but the boys seem quick through some of the corners, so each car kind of has their own wee bit of advantage, to be fair.
All right. Well, best of luck in the finale, and we'll see if you can make it 3 for 3.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. See you later, guys.
That was Jordan Kelly. As now we are going to be talking to Ronan Doherty. Michael will speak to the driver that was on both podiums.
So, Ronan, nice job out there. Interesting start on that second race, but you were able to make a really good pass on Jason. I think it was on lap 2 or lap 3 to get yourself back into that third position. Was that kind of I know where I'm going to pass him, I know where he's weak, or was it a moment of opportunity that you just pounced on?
I think Jason nearly sort of let me through. He knew I've maybe got 1 or 2 more tenths on him, and if he could stay on my toe, we could try and catch the leaders. Just the problem was I was matching Jordan's lap times, but without the toe, we really couldn't close that gap. So fair play to Jordan. He drove a great race. But yeah, I think Jason maybe just let me through that time.
So do you feel there are certain advantages in the Hyundai over the Audi and the other way around that just play to different portions of the race or different portions of the track?
For sure there's differences. I think they're close. Off the line, I'm really struggling, as you've seen in both races. That's how, I went down to 5th in that race, had to work my way back. If you lose the toe and Jordan, the pace is so close. He's 2-3 seconds up the road. You're never really going to close it back without a good toe. So yeah, I'm just struggling to get it off the line. And the Audi seems pretty strong off the line.
So talking about the toe, we were noticing that. So when somebody comes around, say Coppice, and you've got a car length between you, that's about all you're going to get. But if you're running more than a car length, let's say you're a second or so back, it seems like you're closing up. Is there any thought on what's causing that that disparity between being a second back and being half a second back?
Not quite sure. Just try to drive my own race, but I feel like and the two, of course, you're going to get a stronger run if you're maybe half a second behind and 2 or 3 tenths behind, but it's really, it still is valuable. You're still gaining time from it all the time, and it's sort of what I was missing there in that second race.
All right, so just a couple of seconds. Next race, you're going to get a better start and finish first, right?
I'll try to get a better start. I'm actually going to do some practice starts, try and get it in the right rev range. I'm really struggling, even against the other guys in the other type. The guys that are in the same car as me, like Jason and Wayne. They're getting slightly better starts on me. And Jordan is just flying off the line. So yeah, that's going to be a point of concentration for sure.
All right, well, thanks for talking with us. It is time to get to the grid, though. Put that helmet on and head on out there, and we are going to go through our starting grid.
Hey, we absolutely are. Peter McCann with that 8th place. We'll start on the pole for the features. Simon Wall will be in 2nd with Evan Walsh in 3rd and Tony Stack P4. It's Jason Smith starting 5th, followed by Ronan Doherty in 6th. And it's Wayne Douglas in 7th. Jordan Kelly, our winner last time, in 8th. David Yamamoto 9th and Neil Doherty in 10th.
And P11 on row 6, it's Jonathan Hollywood with Emma Dempsey, Ian Malone, Enda Farrell, Brian McCarthy, Rob Parks, Damian McCullen, Andrew McMurphy, Dave Collier, and Scott Malcolm in 20th. Looking in 21st and 22nd. Don't think we have them out for this race.
McGlorian McGuinness as the green flag is out and off the line. Oh no, McCann just doesn't go anywhere. He is already getting swamped down to 3rd, maybe to 4th and 5th, as Tony Stack is going to be able to go around the outside of Evan Walsh. But up at the front, Simon Wall has got clear air, but can he run away with it from here?
And it looks like we had a jump start in the back, too. That was going to be Rob Parks had a jump start and ran into the car in front of him. He's going to have to limp that car all the way around. But we've got some side-by-side action here going into the hairpin. Or is that? Yep, that is the hairpin. Coming up here. Oh, this is going to be some interesting battling. These guys are trying to get that reverse order re-reversed.
Jordan Kelly falling downwards as they go side by side in front of him through McLean's little bit of door banging once again. And I think they've all managed to get through that right-hander. Now, what about Coppice, though? We've seen some drivers be sent off track on this one. So far, so good. By the way, it wasn't just one car that had a jump start. 4 of them are getting black flags. Parks, Hollywood, Farrell, and McCarthy are going to be sent down into the pits to serve their penalties.
I wonder how many of those jump starts are actually a car that got knocked far enough forward to count for a jump start. That's a bummer. It's better when you have live stewarding that can handle that, but actually live stewarding would not. They would have to cancel that black flag, and that is a very rare thing to happen. As we watch, that's Yamamoto. Yamamoto doing a nice job defending, going through there, just trying to hold on to that position, sticking right into the draft of the car in front of him. That would be Doherty. Doherty has been a really good flyer. Let's see if he can hold on to Doherty for a little bit.
Ooh, and going a little wide. Yamamoto's going to give that one right back because Stack's got a great exit, and he now has the inside up into McLean's. Just has to get the job done from here. Oh, but he's going to get help from behind. That was a bump from Wayne Douglas, and instead he finds himself sliding into Yamamoto, uses him as something to lean on, and stays on the track while Yamamoto goes all the way into the grass.
This is the BTCC we know and love. These guys are trying to give us the same as the non-simulated racing. This is good racing. This is exactly why people watch this. You've got cars very closely matched, going mirror to mirror, door to door, and just knocking each other out. But with can I say a modicum of respect? Does that actually work in that case?
I mean, they're Brits. They always have that sort of air about them, don't they? As we come down into Redgate once again, a couple cars slowing with penalties, with slowdown penalties, but McCann amongst them. And is that Yamamoto? Yes, it is. He is going to, oh, wow, he is really hurt, and he's down to 13th because of that, and that's just checking everybody up, causing a lot of side-by-side. Emma Dempsey with Scott Malcolm to her inside, but Dempsey's brave around the outside through the old hairpin, and she rebuffs him.
I wonder if Yamamoto got damaged. This looks to be more than just a slowdown penalty. He's going quite slowly, so I think he might have gotten some damage. Maybe actually hit one of those sausage curbs a little bit harder than those CV joints were designed to handle.
No, it looks like it was a slowdown. I went back and checked, and he did have to serve that, and he's back up to speed. Yeah, I kind of wondered. He did get that hip check, so it could have been, but he's back up to pace, it appears. But Simon Wall is the one that is pacing everybody else. Walsh is behind him. Evan, having started from third place, now up to P2. And Jason Smith back there. He started from fifth up onto the podium. Oh, we got, is that cars in pit lane? Yeah, it's into Farrell.
Yeah, it looks, oh, this was interesting right here. Got a little bit wide. Now that Honda's getting right up onto that back camera. Oh, this is going to be fun. This is, I think, Walsh on Wall. And it looks like we could have a very interesting change of position. Flashing the lights, put in a little bit of, hey, I want to get around you. The light flashing does actually do a little bit. It annoys the person. And if you can annoy them, you can get by them as we head down here, coming up to the hill, up into Compass, puts down the power. Is he going to make it all the way down the straight and stay ahead, or is that Audi going to be able to come back and catch him on this long straightaway?
There's the cutback you were talking about. Wall trying to fight back, but he's being pinched all the way down, given no quarter as they hit the braking zone. Walsh goes back to the racing line, and he's going to be able to retain the spot, but this has helped Jason Smith immensely. He has now joined the fray, and it's a slowdown penalty as well for Wall. He has to give it up. Smith inherits P2.
Yeah, a little bit too much of the curbing there. Did the right thing. Now, different series, different rules. I don't know, once he had been established on that inside, if he was able to come back out when Walsh came out as well. But different series, different rules. I'd have to look at what their exact ruling is there. If he missed the opportunity, that he should have come back out, and he may not have been allowed to by the rulings.
And don't look now. This is Ronan Doherty, who is now up with Jason Smith as well. He's gotten to third. He wants second place, and he wants it right now as he almost attacks into McLean's, then backs out of it. Simon Wall, who's finally got his penalty served for the cut course, is back with Ronan Doherty, so it's a three-way fight to decide P2.
Yeah, Ronan looking for a replay of the last race. This is the same position no, that was actually on Jason. So this is an attack on Wall, I believe, with Douglas right behind him.
You're right, and it looks like Wayne Douglas in there and Jordan Kelly in the number 5. So I thought Jordan maybe was not going to be able to catch up because he was struggling a bit, but he's gained it onto this quartet. So,
but he's got the fastest lap now.
Oh, out of red gates, Smith leading the group, and I don't think Doherty is going to be close enough, but definitely threatening. And that's exactly what Simon Wall needs right now, is he needs Ronan Doherty to start making moves. Oh, but his momentum coming off the old hairpin could not get it to the inside of Smith soon enough and just gives a tap to the bumper. Now he switches back to the left-hand side, though.
Oh, this could be interesting. Is he far enough around to hold it? Wow, that was a pass completely around the outside. That is amazing. That almost never happens. That is a very difficult place to pull that off, and well, he certainly did it.
I don't think I've ever seen McLean see a pass go right around the outside of it. That was something to behold. And as they break down into the Robert chicane, now Simon Wall, who I thought would have a chance to try and attack both of them if they went side by side, is still exactly where he was plugged up before. We are almost to the halfway point in this race, and this reverse top 8 has definitely given us quite a bit of fun at the top of the field.
Yeah, with I would say Kelly really had a major advantage being on the front at the start of the race, able to get that beautiful launch off the line and just rocket away, open up a second and a half before everyone else's tires warmed up, and then they were starting to close down on him. Now he's struggling to try to get back around, but right now we are on board with, is this Douglas? I think we're on Douglas. No, this is looking at the 29 car, so this is on Smith, looking at Doherty, trying to close this down. So notice here, this is a blind corner as you come up through this, trying to get that second apex down right there. You need to be full throttle through there. If you're not, you are losing gobs of time trying to head down this straightaway.
But this time doesn't look like anybody has a good enough launch to try and attack into that final chicane, taking as much curb as they can. And out to the start-finish line once again. You can see ahead of them, Walsh still has quite the advantage. It's about 2.4 seconds currently. Whoa, and a dive to the inside down at a red gate from Douglas. He slides right in front of Wall and chops him off as Jordan Kelly says, thank you very much. That's my chance to get my nose stuck in as well. Little touch between them, nothing really too dire. And now Kelly up into the top 5.
Yeah, Kelly doing a nice job going from 8th all the way back up to 5th now, but not done. We've got just under 11 minutes left. I think there are more positions to be made up here. That Audi is really doing nicely in the hands of Jordan.
Oh, he tries to cut back underneath, though, and then just parking it at the apex. Douglas doesn't give him the chance. Wall, I thought for a second maybe he would try to go to the inside of Jordan, but no dice on that time. And these three have done themselves no good service. Smith and Ronan Doherty are well away from them now.
Yeah, that pack is kind of pulled away, but I think we're going to see probably within a lap or less. I mean, look how close Jordan is on the tail end of that car. He is right up on it, forcing him to stay over to that side. Now, if he pops out now, there you go, pop out. That move back over, he could make this pass around the outside, a little bit of contact as they push their way through. Doherty still pulling fastest lap. Doherty trying to come up the inside as we get into, oh, this is going to be interesting. Nope, pulls out, thinks better of it, decides to wait for another chance. That one was a little bit on the low probability side, but let's take a look at what's going on here. Oh, he goes around.
Malone catches it, loses 2 positions, though. That was Scott Malcolm that gave him a hello. This is the British answer to Days of Thunder today, as drivers really are not sitting back and just letting this race come to them. They are taking it by the neck, and now behind him, that is McGuinness, who has had a bad start to this race, had to serve quite a slowdown penalty, but is caught back up to 12th.
Yeah, again, this is every bit as entertaining as the real life full non-simulated car BTCC. These guys are putting on an amazing show for us today.
down into the braking for the final chicane in front of them. Looks like Neil Doherty's been able to distance himself from Malcolm and McCann now. So that's spreading apart, and the maroon colored machine of Ian Malone not able to catch up to them after that time where he got stuck into here this last lap. In fact, he still sees Michael McGuinness in his mirrors down through the Craner curves. So are they going to spread apart here, or are they going to come back together?
This is that's a good question. I don't know which way this is going to go. I think this trio right here is kind of happy to sit here for a few minutes, not too long. They're trying to open up a gap as much as they can. We've got Peter McCann at the back end of this, and right behind him, actually a little bit ways back, is Malone with McGuinness. So it'll be interesting to watch how these guys work together or not. If they start to try to battle each other, it's going to become a five-way race very quickly.
McCann forcing Malcolm to go a little bit defensive that time down into the final chicane. Doherty very much hunted down and unfortunately puts two wheels into the grass. Malcolm sticks in the throttle and is going to look around the outside. We're going to go three wide. Here comes Peter McCann to the inside, down into Redgate. How many will come out the other side? That's the question. Will all three get through? Just about, but Doherty loses out amongst them. Malone gets covered off as McCann chops him down to the inside.
But McCann did a very nice thing and rewrited Doherty a little bit as they came. It was sideways, so just gave him a little love tap on the nose, put the car back in the right direction. Now, still made the pass on him, but that was good racing. Three wide into that corner is not easy.
Meanwhile, Doherty has been methodically hunting down Walsh from third to the lead for the number 9, but Ronan Doherty has come from 6th out here, and he's going to poke his nose a little bit. He's been consistently faster, sometimes as much as half a second quicker, and it is now down to nothing. And there's 6 minutes to go with 1:12 for most of these laps, Michael. That's plenty of opportunity for the 29 to try and force his way through.
Yeah, there's opportunity, and we've been watching him close down. We heard earlier that is partially due to a good draft, but can't put anything beyond outside of the driver. The drivers here are excellent drivers. These guys know what they're doing. Watch as we come down into the old hairpin here, cutting a lot of that corner, using even a little bit more. It looks like Doherty wants this a little more. Maybe Walsh is just trying to be a little bit extra defensive and not giving that extra space, while letting Doherty behind overdrive the car, or hopefully overdrive the car, which honestly is not happening. Watching both of these guys, they are staying well within the limits of the car. They are at 99.5, 99.8% or so. They are pushing the limits of what these cars will do.
Only had one DNF in this last race. Rob Parks is out of it, but 21 drivers still on the course currently. Doherty's close, but we haven't seen him manage to overtake. Or did Walsh get a slowdown here? Yes, he did. So
Yep.
A silver platter is given to the 29, and he now leads.
Yeah, I always say it's easier to make a pass when the other guy makes a mistake, and it's just a bummer. Goes from first to looks like 4th or 5th. As look, is that Jordan coming through? Yeah, that's going to be Jordan Kelly coming through, and wow, Evan Walsh falls from 1st to 5th just because of a little bit of a overreaching on one of those corners.
Oh man, this is not done yet. Jason Smith was the one that tried to get inside, and that's what cost him more, cost Walsh more corners, more positions. Just a peek to the inside from Wayne Douglas. That slows up Jordan Kelly. Walsh has a chance to try and get some of those back. Chooses not to, although that time he takes a tiny peek down into Coppice. He'll get another opportunity here along Starkey straight. No, he falls away.
It sure does. That was there maybe just didn't quite get the run off the corner. I don't know what happened there. That was interesting. Or maybe it's 4 minutes left in the race. They know they got about 3-4 laps left, trying to set up, trying to feel, make the push here and there, see what's going on, watch how the other driver reacts to make your pass. And there we go, right down on the inside. That's and then a repass, an over under, beautifully executed over under, but it's not over yet.
Jason Smith back into second place. He's not letting him have that one easily. Douglas almost pushing him down into the old hairpin behind him. He gets a hello from Jordan Kelly as well. That now switching under the bridge and up towards McLean's. No change in position amongst them. But I'm starting to think the chrome horn's going to get pulled out indeed. Ooh. A little shove from behind. 3 wide. And unfortunately, the car on the outside is always going to lose on that one. That was Kelly.
Oh, Kelly had a nice move. We almost saw a second pass on the outside at McLean's in one race. I've never seen it before, and we almost saw it twice in one race. But that puts Kelly all the way back down into 6th with only 3 minutes left. Can Jordan Kelly make it back through and get back up into that pack? He's trying. He's going side by side right now, trying to get back up in there. Nice run through the chicane. Good placement of the car. I think Jordan's not done yet. I think Jordan wants another piece of this.
Now, that was Simon Wall that he had to repass there. And if I'm honest, I never thought that was going to wind up well. 3 wide on the outside of McLean's for Kelly. Kind of figured he was going to get shoved off. That did help Walsh, though, in the 9. He got 2 spots in that one move. Now he's got Wayne Douglas in front of him. And while he might not be as quick as Ronan Doherty, it does look like Evan is quick enough to at least get to the back of this number 3 car.
Yeah, Evan trying to do a little bit of a recovery after being out front for so long, but sticking right up in here, holding on just inside that draft. Well, maybe just a bit out, hard to say, but we've got a good opportunity for draft here off of Douglas with Walsh, Smith, and Kelly. All of these guys sitting right in a perfect spot to get a little bit of help as we go down this straightaway.
And along this straightaway, Ronan Doherty has about 4 seconds ahead of them, so he's definitely distanced himself, and he's going to get the 2 to go this time by. So it's coming down to it now, and we still don't know who is going to be sitting in second and who is going to be sitting in third. We know who is there, Douglas and Walsh respectively, but Smith, Kelly, they could potentially snatch this away. Simon Wall's not too far back. If they all battle, he could also maybe get onto the podium again.
I would not count Wall out of this. We've seen some really good driving from him all through this race. So yeah, I definitely would not count him out, especially when you've got Kelly absolutely hounding Smith.
Each of them taking as much as they can off of the old hairpin, knowing they can get away with it. Still don't think we've had any drive-throughs. No, I'm not seeing them. Drivers able to carry on. Oh, and side by side between Smith and Kelly. Kelly thought maybe he could have that one, but Smith denies him. That'll allow him to retain 4th position. Bright green and black there of Jordan Kelly. Gets a good run, but doesn't look like he's close enough to me.
Yeah, there's just that interesting thing. You get to about a quarter, maybe 3/10 of a second, and it's almost like the draft goes away on these cars. It's let you catch up a half a second, and then suddenly you've got nothing left. As we watch a little flash of the lights back there, I think that was Walsh, right? I think that's Walsh.
And around the outside, Kelly's not done with this. Trying moves of desperation and once again eased onto the grass. So Smith will retain that 4th place. And up ahead of them, I'm watching Doherty already out of the old hairpin. It's now nearly 5 seconds ahead of those chasing him. Douglas looks like he's got the measure of Walsh, so unless we get something drastic here, top 3 not looking like they'll change. Kelly really wants to try and at least get a 4th place out of this.
Trying to cut inside, gets a little better point on to the apex. They are overlapped here, coming up into Coppice. Oh, Kelly just trying to hold on to the inside, gets the power down. Can he hold it? He's in the advantageous position, gets that second apex. Is he in front? He is in front. It's just barely a car. Now they are absolutely side by side as they come up into that final corner. We got to switch to our leader.
Because for the win in the feature, it's Ronan Doherty finally, after he was denied in the first two heats. Douglas second, Walsh third, and Kelly will stay ahead of Smith this time, as Wall will be sixth behind them after starting from fourth. He could have had a little bit more today for sure, as Jordan Kelly having a little bit of some fun and an off there afterwards. Drivers certainly close as they cross the line, but it's going to be 20 of them that will get to see the checkered flag here today. The last of them looks like Brian McCarthy chasing into Farrell.
Yeah, nice drive. I just want to comment on Jordan Kelly's driving. We watched several opportunities unfold and not work out, but it didn't slow him down. It didn't change his desire to get around. Tried 10 different ways on every corner to get around, and that is really, really heads up driving. I love seeing it when a driver does something like that and just tries one way, tries another way, and sometimes you don't even complete the pass. You're just trying to test to see what it'll get you, because you can think ahead and see what's coming. So if I make this pass, does it put me in a disadvantage for the next corner? So really good heads-up driving from the winner of our first two races, who ultimately came in fourth in our final race.
Absolutely, and that's going to take us to a quick break. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews, so stick around.
This is iRacing, the world's premier online racing game. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat to experience today's newest form of competitive motorsport, virtual racing, all from your home PC. Race virtually in indoor series from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, the World of Outlaws, Aussie Supercars and more. Take on legendary circuits like Daytona, Silverstone and the Nürburgring. Join iRacing's global online racing community and get on track today at iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Donington Park. Our feature race here in the RTA Virtual Motorsports British Touring Car Championship had Ronan Doherty finally get that win from 6 on the grid, and it was in spite of a bit of a bad start. Wayne Douglas was second and Evan Walsh P3. After that, Jordan Kelly could not complete the triumvirate. Looked like he also got caught up in a little bit of incidents on the first lap. Jason Smith was behind him to complete the top 5. Simon Wall went from the front row down to 6 as Tony Stack was 7th. And Peter McCann, he started on the pole because of that reverse grid. And, well, he wound up 8, where he would have started anyways, as Scott Malcolm, different driver there, finished in 9th from 20th. Ian Malone was in 10th here today. Michael?
P11, we have Michael McGinnis, who also made a really nice run, 11 positions up, just like we saw from Malcolm. Niall Doherty coming in 12th, followed by Emma Dempsey, Andrew Murphy. I almost said Emma Thompson. I wonder if that's, I'm sure that's okay. Nobody minds being confused with her. Andrew Murphy, Ben McClory, Damian McMullen, Dave Collier in 17th, Enda Farrell in 18th, Brian McCarthy 19th, and P20 with a last lap incident, David Yamamoto. Jonathan Hollywood gets 21st, and Rob Parks 22nd, 17 laps down. I don't believe actually took the start.
And we've got Ronan Doherty ready to talk to us, our winner here today. Well, Ronan, Michael gave you a bit of ribbing saying you're going to launch off and go on and take the win. You didn't get the launch, but you did get the win, and that's what matters, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. Didn't get the launch. Maybe have to sort that out for the next round, but Yeah, just sort of midway through the pack, maybe the other guys that could have won the race too had a couple of slowdowns and made mistakes, but you try to stay consistent and make sure you don't get those slowdowns.
You did have to catch up to Smith there late in the race, and once you caught him, were you steeling yourself for an epic battle to try and claim the win, and was it a disappointment when suddenly he just slows?
Yeah, I think it was actually Evan Walsh in the lead at the time.
Apologies.
But yeah, caught up to him, and for sure would have been a good battle. It's always a good race, racing against Evan, nice and clean. But yeah, unfortunately, just took a little bit too much curb at the chicane and got a slowdown. And yeah, that just handed me the lead. And I sort of knew once I had that lead that I had the pace to maintain the gap.
It certainly looked like that was yours to lose after that. But after those first two races and finishing it off with a victory, does that change anything for the upcoming rounds? Because we always talk about in this series how the finishing order of each race has such a knock-on effect of the others. Do you feel like you can finally get the pole and maybe wins in the first two heats after you've now have knocked out the win in the feature of this one?
Yeah, for sure. Look, it's really tight at the top. It's really, I think the top three, myself, Jordan and Wayne. Jordan pole, then Wayne, then me. For qualifying, it was less than a tenth, so it's really tight at the top. And it just comes down to racecraft, I guess, in the races. I'm getting a good launch off the line. But yeah, I'm confident I can win just as much as I'm sure the other guys are too. There's a lot of good competition up there.
Well, again, congratulations on the feature win. Anybody you want to thank?
Yeah, just want to thank Rob Parks for putting on the championship, and my title sponsor, Hederman's Marionette Wires, do a great job. So big thanks to both of those guys, and yeah, that's it.
That was Ronan Doherty, our winner here in the feature in the number 29 car, but Evan Walsh was third. Michael's caught up with him.
So, Evan, beautiful race. You led quite a bit of this race, but then somewhere around, I want to say lap 12, right towards the end, something happened. What was going on there in the car that caused you to lose that lead?
Yeah, trying to stay ahead of Ronan at one stage, I just put too much of the first part of the chicane, and I ended up getting a slowdown. So just by the time I had the time bled off coming into turn one, then I had a little get together with I think it was Jason, and I just dropped back a little bit more. But yeah, it happens. I found it very hard to be out in front and not start to bleed a lot of time because I was away for a while. But yeah, I think I drive faster when I'm trying to chase somebody down rather than being out in front of my own.
It is nice to have the rabbit, and of course, staying ahead of Ronan is one of those things that's easier said than done. Was it a pressure on you while you were out front and you saw him getting closer and closer and closer? We're watching right now on the replay. We see him closing down on you in that middle part of the race. Is it easier to chase him? Because I mean, it was tough, but what was the effect it was having on you as you were trying to hold on to that lead?
Yeah, I was just trying to run my own lines, but it's kind of hard to concentrate on what you're doing when you have somebody that's chasing you down, and to be fair, Ronan is fast as well. Just trying to keep him behind. I knew it was going to be tough, and I was actually going to try and let him pass me anyway, and use him to try and pull away from the guys behind maybe, and try battle him towards the end of the race. But yeah, just with those few mistakes I made, I dropped too far back in the end, so I could do nothing really.
So where do you feel the car, so you chose to drive the Honda, you wanted to be in the Civic for this. Where do you feel your car was an advantage, and where do you feel it was a disadvantage over the Hyundai from Ronan who was chasing you?
I think under brakes, the Honda is very good under brakes coming into corners with late braking. But it's definitely not the fastest car out of the four choices. It definitely seems to be the slowest, even trying to push it hard. Like it's the times are just not there in the car. But it's there's not too much of a difference, but I don't think even in the Elantra, I don't think I'd have been able to hold off Ronan, to be fair.
Ronan is a force to be reckoned with, but you were able to wheel this car into third place and get it on the podium. That is a fantastic job. Who do you have to thank for this?
All the RTA lads. The championships are absolutely brilliant, to be fair, and hopefully we put on a good show for anyone that's watching, and yourselves as well. I have to watch the stream back, but I've heard the commentary is brilliant and the stream has been brilliant, so yeah.
You'll hear several comments of how this is no different than the real life BTCC. These may be simulated cars, but you guys put on just as good a show as the regular BTCC does. So I gotta tell you, from me, thank you for putting on a brilliant show for us to watch. And the way you guys race makes it a lot of fun and almost easy to be a commentator for.
That's brilliant. If only we were paid as good as the real drivers, though.
Well, I can tell you from experience, the pay isn't that great, but it's at least paid. So there is that. So, well, thanks for your time. Great job getting onto that bottom step of the podium. And I'm going to hand this back to Joe.
Absolutely, and that's going to take us out for the day with a big thank you to our sponsor, once again, the Majors Garage. Make sure and click the link in the description below, and if you do so and use our discount code MajorsGSRC, you'll get 10% off. Also, thanks goes to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen, and additional thanks to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. Check out her Bandcamp for more great work. Thanks to the team today, Michael, Zach, and Dougie. You can find more info about GSRC at globalsimracingchannel.com or through our social media listed here on screen. Also, check out our merchandise store. It's gsrc.storenv.com, and we keep a link in the description below for that, too. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment. The next race that we are covering is going to be Brands Hatch. That'll be Tuesday, May 24th at 4 p.m. Eastern for the season finale. We have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out. Mark them down on your calendar. And up next tonight, it is the PRL Multiclass Series, and that'll be at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. But until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.